Hi, this is Derek. Wanted to do a quick video today. Kind of just my picks for what the best or favorite or whatever movies of 2013 were. A lot of good movies, I thought, and I try to do these lists. Again, I don't see everything, not a professional critic, what have you, whatever. I just see what kind of I'm interested in seeing or what I've heard is good from other people. So I cut a good amount of movies, and a lot of cases, like you try to do these lists, and it's like, well, you know how it goes. Like a lot of the Oscar favorites tend to be released like in January, even spilling into like February with like limited releases, and it's hard to catch them all. So like this list is changing and changing and changing. So by the time I upload this, it's probably going to be completely different. Um, but whatever. So here are my picks, my personal picks for best movies of the year, in my opinion. So yeah, here we go. Real simple. Number 10 is Stoker, which I thought was just phenomenal, especially from a visual standpoint. Chan-wook Park, obviously, director of Oldboy, he knows visuals. He knows some very creepy areas of the psyche as well. But this isn't even, like, this is his, I believe it's his first American or English language film. Um, and it's even more intense with the visuals than even Oldboy is. It's very, very beautiful and very creepy. It's like walking into a nightmare, this movie. And I thought Mia Wasikowska, as India Stoker, the heroine of the film, she gives a brilliant performance. And like the story is through her point of view, and you're kind of wondering, like, it is a mystery, and you're kind of wondering along with her, kind of what's going on, what the secret with her uncle is. And as we kind of see it, like, once removed from her, we're kind of like sort of realizing, not just about him but about her. There's definitely some, you know, darkness in her that she's realizing, and this weird ability. And it's just an incredible film, I thought. Again, visual standpoint, acting standpoint, Matthew Good, Nicole Kidman, both great in their roles. And yeah, it's a very unforgettable movie. And again, something like this to be made these days, something that's so strong visually, that is more of a cerebral kind of movie. Not just like your average, oh, crazy killer, oh, family secrets, whatever. No, it's a smarter movie than that, and I really appreciated that. So definitely one of the highlights of this year, in my opinion. And probably one of the creepiest visual movies since Suspiria, so definitely high praise for that. Number 9 is The World's End, the third part in the Cornetto trilogy of films by Edgar Wright, and with Simon Pegg and Nick Frost in the cast, and really great. Again, it keeps up the same kind of momentum as the previous two movies, Shaun of the Dead and Hot Fuzz. So it has the same kind of charm to it. Like, it's definitely a movie where you're like, I gotta watch this over and over and over again to catch like the secret hidden jokes, and they always tend to benefit from rewatching it. You always pick up on something, and I thought this, this one, it had some unexpected notes to it. Like, it is funny and fun, and lots of laughs, and very interesting with like its plot. Like, there was horror in the cop action movie with the other two. This one is more sci-fi, but it also touches upon alcoholism with Simon Pegg in his role, and I thought it was a great performance and kind of a really unexpected kind of performance from him. And I thought it was great, and a very funny movie, great cast. You gotta love these guys. And I think Edgar Wright closed the trilogy in a very ballsy, unexpected way. So I thought it was a brilliant comedy. And number 8 is This Is the End, which is also kind of a similar apocalyptic comedy, except this one's American, not British, so I don't know what kind of difference that makes. This one, all-star cast. You got Seth Rogen, Jay Baruchel, James Franco, Jonah Hill from Moneyball, and you have from The Office. What's his name? Oh my God, I can't remember. Daryl from The Office. He's so funny. Oh my God, I can't remember his name. I'm killing myself trying to remember. And well, anyway, just a great all-star cast. Very funny comedians playing themselves. it's a very experimental movie. I mean, you got to hand it to these guys. They're basically roasting themselves for this whole movie. Um, and making fun of themselves and like giving off this kind of, okay, they're playing themselves but not really kind of thing, and I love that. And just the bizarre concept behind it, like it's the rapture, and blue beams of light are bringing people up to heaven, and they're all kind of like, okay, why are we not getting to heaven? Are we such soulless Hollywood assholes that we can't get in? So I don't know. I thought that was funny. And Danny McBride, very, very funny in the movie. He's kind of like the antagonist amongst them. Oh my god, he's just a unpredictable wild card. So, so brilliant. I loved it. Again, a kind of movie that you can rewatch over and over. And you always pick up on these jokes. Especially like the second time I watched it, I was like, oh my god, at the beginning of the movie, they're like describing the end of the movie. But never mind, I won't give that away. But hilarious movie, very funny. I loved it. And that's that. Yeah. Number 7 is Trance. Now, this is a movie that hasn't got as much love as I think it should be getting. It's from Danny Boyle, of course, director of some great movies, Trainspotting, the Oscar-winning Slumdog Millionaire, 127 Hours, 28 Days Later. The guy definitely has his cred. And this is kind of one of those movies where it was like, well, during that time, Danny Boyle was committed to the Olympics, the Olympic Games, doing the whole ceremony, working with that, and he had some downtime. Basically, it was like, well, you can either do nothing or make a movie in your spare time, and he chose to make a movie. So it's kind of one of those, just flexing the filmmaking muscles kind of things, and kind of just a movie that I suspected he was doing just for fun. Just to see if he could, still kind of do stuff. Ends up being one of his best movies. Again, this is my opinion, but just really mind-bending, and like kind of like his answer to Inception. But it's definitely not as complex and kind of set to a certain amount of rules as say Inception is. But that kind of makes it even better, not having any rules. And I thought the cast was excellent. Of course. James McAvoy, Rosario Dawson, William Cassell, all terrific. Kind of like this love triangle going on between them. Great music, great visuals, just like a feast. Like you could sense during this whole movie that Danny Boyle just loves to make movies and loves to make unique kind of experiences through them. He does kind of touch on similar themes with each movies, but he's always making completely different type of movie with each one he does, so he doesn't really repeat himself, which I like. I thought, in a small way, it is kind of a masterpiece, and I love the movie, and I think more people should see it. Number 6, Captain Phillips, Tom Hanks. Oh my god, this guy, he got snubbed. He didn't get an Oscar nomination, but he should have. Just a brilliant performance as the captain who has to deal with Somali pirates. It's a true story. You can always take that for a grain of salt, but Paul Greengrass, he's a very attention-oriented director. He's always kind of making really kind of these specific types of choices to keep a certain kind of authenticity, and it feels almost documentary-like, kind of like the way United 93. It felt like a documentary, and it was jarring. Thankfully, this one has more of a happy ending to it. But this whole movie, because you feel like kind of like a fly on the wall, it's just relentless. Like it's so incredibly tense, and like my heart was pounding through the whole thing. Oh god, like really something. You really feel like you're there and sharing in the experience. Tom Hanks, brilliant, and Barkhad Abdi as the Somali pirate, the leader of them. And it's very interesting how they show like their parallels of how they lead their men and kind of what their end game is and what they're doing as their kind of duty. I thought that bringing two different perspectives into that really made the movie, really enhanced it in a lot of ways. So it made it more than just a thriller. Like it's not too over the top with like these desperate Somalis. Like obviously they have their choice and they've chosen to do this, but and just kind of like the fly on the wall kind of way. A lot of it is just like, in the quiet moments between the tension, the two characters and their interactions. They're just brilliant. I loved it. I loved it. Um, so yeah, I mean, I can't sing enough praise for that movie. I thought it was exceptional, just exceptional. Anyway, but number 5 on my list is Prisoners. Excellent film, excellent performances. Really kind of a spiritually kind of wrenching film. Like we've seen movies like this before, kind of like like Mystic River or Gone Baby Gone, about terrible things that happen, and kind of the patriarchal figure that makes a decision to work outside the law. But this one, it brings it to a whole other kind of level. Like this whole movie, it is kind of like a spiritual test for Hugh Jackman's character, who loses his daughter. She gets kidnapped. He's positive it's this one creepy, mentally disabled kind of guy, played by Paul Dano, who's he's been on a streak this year just with playing just horrible characters that you hate. And it kind of shows how he'd go down to the level that he supposedly hates, and kind of how he's selling his soul in that. And opposite to that is Jake Gyllenhaal playing the cop, the detective investigating the missing child case, working and relentlessly trying to solve this mystery, and kind of the determination that he has. And so I thought the parallels between the two characters, again, were just really staggering. Like, this Hugh Jackman, he's the kid's father. Jake Gyllenhaal, complete stranger. And it's so interesting. They both share the same goal, but they go about it in so different kind of ways. And it's not one of those movies where it's like, I'm the cop. I know you're doing something bad there. I'm gonna get you. No, it's smarter than that. And they do have an understanding of each other, and they're both working towards the same goal. And the ending is devastating, and kind of really makes you think about what kind of evil, what kind of really human evil is in this world, and how to react to it. And it's definitely one of the highlights of this year. Not a movie I'd soon forget. So there's that. Number 4 is Gravity. Alfonso Cuarón, again, keeping up a streak of just excellent movies. This one kind of inspired by that like one shot in Children of Men, where it's like one continuous shot. I love it when he does that, and he does that in the beginning of this movie, where you feel like if you think back to the movie, you're like, was this movie like all one shot? Because it almost feels that way, and that's kind of the subliminal effect the movie has. Being out in space, and the great kind of technology that they used, both in like special effects, but also in presentation effects. Like this movie, I saw in IMAX, in 3D, and that's the only way to do it. I think. Like I can't imagine, buying this on Blu-ray and watching it on my television. I just can't imagine doing that. Like it kind of did something that not too many movies can do, and that's presenting a uniquely theatrical experience to view a movie. A lot of movies are like, oh wow, great, it's in 3D, whatever, I'll still catch it on Netflix in like a year. No, this one, it was like, this really enhances the experience, makes it all the more immersive, and reminds us that theatrical experience, it's something special and something unique that you just can't get. You can get a huge TV, 3D TV, whatever, stereo surround. It's not going to replicate the experience of going to the theater, and that this movie is a reminder of that, I think. And how every movie post converts to 3D, and you're really just paying $5 extra for a headache. But this one used those supposed novelties to great advantage, and made it a more again, an immersive experience, and just a truly great film. Again, kind of like about the struggle of life, with Sandra Bullock's character, life and rebirth. Kind of, it's as philosophical as you can, interpret it to be. But she gives a great performance. George Clooney as well, and Ed Harris as Mission Control. So he has like a little trilogy kind of going on with like space, like The Right Stuff, Apollo 13, now this. So it's pretty interesting. But a great film, great filmmaking. You don't see too many movies aspire to what this movie has aspired to and what it's achieved. So I was endlessly impressed with this. Number 3 is 12 Years a Slave. A very searing and emotionally draining movie, but a great one. I am a great admirer of Steve McQueen. I thought, particularly Shame with Michael Fassbender. That was a brilliant film, I thought. And the thing about Steve McQueen is that he is almost, I sort of compare him to Martin Scorsese, because he's not too concerned. He's more concerned, let's say, with plot. I mean, very sorry, with character than plot. So it's character first with him. And so you think about, you know, the plot of Shame. There's not really too much plot, but it is a very intensely character-driven movie, and a movie about a character that's, you know, not really sure of his own psychology and then seeking some kind of penance for his sins. And the same can be said with 12 Years a Slave, with Chiwetel Ejiofor's character, Northup. He's a free man. During the time of slavery, he's black. You know, he's should count his fortune, but you know, he just seems to seem like everything's okay. But then the unthinkable happens. He's tricked and drugged and kidnapped, sold into slavery. Like a blink, he's a slave. He's like, you know, anybody else that he may have ignored or, you know, not thought about, just tried to, you know, keep it in the periphery, which I think, you know, it's kind of something that we in modern times do. Like, we acknowledge slavery, but we try to just, you know, maybe pretend it didn't happen, but it happened, and it was a terrible, dark moment in history. Not so much with Canada, which is nice, but the experience of this movie is more the psychological experience of this character, who does have to recondition himself to act like, you know, like a dumb slave. He's an intelligent man and an eloquent man, who you know, he would, and to a certain extent, would see like a white man as his equal. But here, all of a sudden, he is lower than dirt. He's property, and that's really interesting to see, you know, how he develops as a character and how he does have to condition himself to survive. But where the movie hit its absolute peak is with the plantation, with the Michael Fassbender character, where Fassbender, his character, he gets a sense that he's like, okay, there's something different about this slave here, and at the same token, he is in love with, in so many words, in love with a black slave, played by Lupita Nyong'o, or I hope I'm pronouncing that right. And so they both have these sort of secrets about their own identity, and kind of it is like a chess match that they're playing, like Battle of Wills. Like, really, when you get right down to it, Northup, he is more intelligent and more resourceful than Michael Fassbender's character, Epps, on the plantation. And if he were to, you know a secret, you know, and he does know a secret, if he were to reveal a secret, if he were to somehow get free, you know, Epps would almost have this shame about him. So it's this strange conflict that drives the whole movie. Kind of brings these two races that have the commonalities and differences, and this struggle of class together that I thought was just really jarring. And it's just, you know, it is a tough movie, but the psychology of it, I thought, was just tremendous. And, you know, again, seeking for a type of penance with the Northup character. You know, he kind of realizes something about himself and about his race in the worst possible kind of way. And it's, you know, it's just a dark time in history, but it's something that does have to be acknowledged and not set aside. And I think this movie is respectful and it is authentic in showing that area of history. But, you know, what it makes worthwhile about showing this, it's not, you know, like to, you know, it isn't really like kind of the kind of Oscar movie that you normally think of. It sort of is. It kind of looks and feels like one, but it's a more deeper psychological movie that explores a lot more challenging themes, I think, that is set within that time frame. But it really boils down to these two men and their conflict, which I thought was brilliant. brilliantly done. Fassbender, IG4, brilliant, brilliant in this movie. Um, so yeah, definitely one of the year's best. Number 2 is Dallas Buyers Club, another great film with great performances. Matthew McConaughey and Jared Leto, both great. I mean, Matthew McConaughey, he's just tremendous in this movie. Not only because, of course, he does this really, really stunning physical transformation. He's like a skeleton in this movie, playing the AIDS patient. But it's more so the mental transformation, where he is an apathetic homophobe, and then he does kind of not just, it's not like a stupid little, oh, now that I have AIDS and I feel like one of you guys, I understand your value as a human being. No, it's not that, trite. But it does more, come along the lines of just what it means to live, and kind of what you'd fight for being alive. Like, not only is it like, the story of an AIDS epidemic and the injustices against people, but it is like an expose against the FDA, and how really, I mean, they don't so much need to say it, but it is kind of about homophobia, and they allow this entire gay holocausts to occur just because, all boils down to money too, and certain drugs weren't being approved at the time, so it is kind of an eye-opening film in that sense. But at its very core, I mean, it is about the friendship that we witness between McConaughey's character and Jared Leto's character, who of course plays the transsexual character, who's excellent in this movie. Like, not just convincing as a transsexual, but just a tragic character. There's one scene where she goes to see his dad, dresses like a man for the first time. He looks like a ghost, and there's so many heartbreaking scenes in this movie. But at the end of it all, like, just all the balls it has up in the air, and all the perspectives it has about this larger issue, and this club where they're like kind of trying to beat the system. It is about life itself, and it's about the struggle for life, and how valuable it is, and how we take it for granted, to be honest. So I would say there's very, very few movies that I walk out and I think, I feel that having seen this, I value life a little bit more. But this is one of those movies. So it really kind of forced me to kind of think about how valuable life is, and how it's worth fighting for it, and how this amazing character, again based on a true story, again it's tweaked for storytelling purposes, but this amazing character that they've created, and the amazing transformation that they've made with him, and not so much a representative of gay rights, but just a representative of what it means to work to live, and that's, I think it's beautiful, that movie. So yeah, get a little emotional. But anyway, number 1 movie, in my opinion, a movie that I found tremendously entertaining, really, really funny, The Wolf of Wall Street, starring Leonardo DiCaprio as the Wolf of Wall Street, a brilliant film. Martin Scorsese doing what he does best, creating these, just kind of morally reprehensible characters, and not so much bringing a humanity to them, but just kind of inviting you into their world. Like, he'll invite us into the world of a mobster, or the world of a wife-beating boxer, or a depressed, crazy taxi driver. So he, puts his lens to these types of characters that we wouldn't pay. Like, in another movie, maybe this guy would be, the villain, or maybe under another director, DiCaprio's character would try to be more sympathetic, learn a little kind of lesson, and he sort of does. But the thing about the character, and what kind of drives the whole movie, is just how great of a leader and motivator this character is, so much that he motivates himself to keep on doing what he's doing, despite the lack of morality and everything, and the horrible drug use. But the thing is, this movie's funny. It is hilarious. I was not expecting it to be as hilarious as it is. And it's such an original comedy, because there's not really any jokes You know, like this is Scorsese. He's tried comedy before, but you know, a lot of them are kind of more like a black comedy, like King of Comedy or After Hours. You know, they kind of had their own kind of little jokes, but this one it's purely based on character. So again, kind of like with 12 Years a Slave, this not so much plot, but character is what's fascinating about it, and the character's psychology and the character's actions, and how just funny it is without having to draw attention to itself. And a lot of the lines are improvised. Like some of the best scenes are with Jonah Hill and DiCaprio just going off on each other and improvising dialogue. It was brilliant, and just a high energy film for a 3-hour film. This goes by like nothing. So I thought it was tremendously entertaining, a masterpiece in my opinion. So that's my opinion. But these 10 movies are kind of what I felt were the best of this year. So that's pretty much all I have to say. I guess it's supposed to be a quick video, but we're going on like 25 minutes now, so I'll leave it there. Yeah, I hope you enjoyed watching, and comment, rate, subscribe, all that good stuff, and have a happy and safe 2014, and more videos to come.